I can't believe I'm saying this, but here goes. It's that time of year again. Oh my God, it's almost fall. And that means going back to school, or back to auditioning, or back to the reality of what it is to be an actor. Part of your getting back is to evaluate where you are and simply remain open to others that can keep you moving forward. On this episode of Casting Actors Cast, I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can remain teachable. Coming right up.
It's time for another episode of Casting Actors Cast, insights for actors from a casting director. Here he is, your host, Jeffrey Dreisbach.
Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Casting Actors Cast. I'm casting partner Jeffrey Dreisbach with the McCorkle Group in New York. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. It's really great to have you here. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to check out our website, castingactorscast, all one word.com. There you're going to find some additional information. There are past episodes of Casting Actors Cast. There's a place called Jeff's Jots, which are the blog and show notes corresponding to each episode. If you fill in that form that says dive into the talent pool, you're going to have some freebies. There's a book on doing voiceover work, as well as a video called Casting Secrets, What They Don't Tell You. Please do check that out. Also, I just wanted to remind you that you can always write to me with questions, comments, whatever you want, not only on the website, but you can do it through email. My email address, castingactorscast@gmail.com. That's castingactorscast, all one word, @gmail.com. So there you have it. All kinds of ways to stay in touch and to feel part of this ever-growing community, which I am extremely proud of. All right, finally, my shout out to my friends at Actors Connection, actorsconnection.com/New York. They're both online and in-person classes taking place with casting directors, agents, managers, professionals in the industry there to help you. I can't think of a better way to get your career going than to checking out Casting Actors, than to checking out Actors Connection. Boy, I don't know if that was Freudian. I think it was just that I have a cold and it just kind of slipped out that way. All right. Let's jump into the subject today, remaining teachable. How to remain teachable is the title. And so I think we first have to define what remaining teachable actually means. And I have three thoughts in terms of defining remaining teachable. And when you hear that phrase, what does that say to you? Number one, I think remaining teachable is a way of not assuming you have the answers to all of the information you might need. You might need to seek additional resources that can reinforce or challenge your point of view. So deciding that you have the answers, that you don't need any additional help, really might be better served if you give yourself the opportunity to stop and think about it. Is there something more that I can be learning in this situation? See, there is no shame in reaching out to others. In fact, it helps you grow, not only as a person, but clearly as an actor when you find yourself in those situations. Number two, be careful of assumptions that keep you from learning. Just because you think a situation is bad, as an example, that does not mean there is no lesson to learn. I believe very strongly that even in the most challenging of circumstances, and God knows we've had a lot of challenging circumstances in the past few years, not only right now with the writers and actors strike here, but COVID and flus and politics and weather, and there's all kinds. And this is terrible. We are going through a really rough period, but again, it does not mean there isn't a lesson we can learn. Our reaction to some of these events really dictate and show us who we are. Number three, I'd like you to remain curious. See, other points of view are valid even though they might conflict with yours. So that is very useful if you can constantly not listen to your inner voice that's commenting on what is being disseminated, but that you can literally tune into what somebody else is saying and have respect for that. All right, so now let's get into the meat of the matter. How can you remain teachable? Here it comes. Listen more. It is better to listen to others than your own inner voice, which is something I just said when having a conversation. In any interaction with another human being, making sure you're investing in the listening of that other is equally, if not more valuable to you at that moment. Number 2, refrain from drawing conclusions. You see, when you're having a conversation with others, or whether you're in a classroom, for example, or auditioning, when you decide there's really nothing more to learn here, there's nothing more to experience, tell yourself to think again. There is always an opportunity for growth if you allow it to be there. Number 3, please keep your sense of humor. No matter what is happening, there always can be a lighter side that can actually help you. I think remaining teachable is you can filter any information and understand that humor is perhaps part of how we absorb that information. It's not just about being funny for being funny's sake, but if you are a light-hearted person and you approach those problems in a light-hearted way, chances are you're going to be able to overcome some of those difficulties. All right, so let's now move on to the practical application of remaining teachable. What are the tangible things? Where can you apply these new techniques if they're new for you? Or perhaps you just needed a reminder that remaining teachable is a very valuable tool. So here's some practical ways you can do that. First of all, in an acting class, this is something that I really want to make sure if you are entering a class or you've been taking a class or you've had classes, please remember that the teacher, the instructor, the professor, they are there to support you and challenge you and your choices. This is not a time to personalize the situation between your teacher and you. This is the time to really stay open to the thoughts and suggestions and the help that is literally there in front of you. So, remaining teachable, that's something you can bring to an acting class. Also, let's move on from there. When you're on the set, or in a rehearsal for a theater project, the director is a collaborator with you. The director's not there just dictating what you need to do next or your next moment. If you can think of that relationship as a collaboration, then you are working together. And when you are working together, that means you are going to listen more. And when you listen more, ta-da, you remain teachable. Here's another time that I think remaining teachable becomes a really excellent tool, and that is during an audition. I know this firsthand as an actor, and I was an actor for 20 years. I know firsthand, and this is advice that I wish I had had during that time. But during an audition, please remember, everyone is on your side. It's more often than not that your inner voice is the enemy. What you tell yourself in that environment is sometimes very hurtful, very negative, and very cynical sometimes. So just remember, if those you surround yourself with, even in an audition, are there to support you and everyone wants you to be great, so why don't you embrace that energy in the room rather than I have to win them over? Remaining teachable means stay in touch with what you're feeling, but understand the dynamic of the room, which is everyone is on your side. So what did we learn? Remaining teachable, in my opinion, is simply a matter of saying, I will remain teachable. It's really that simple. And it's that simple when you connect with others, by the way. So my suggestion is to become a student again. And I promise you, your creativity will grow into even greater opportunities. Please let me know what you thought of this episode by going to castingactorscast@gmail.com. Please write to me with questions, problems, concerns. Anything that I can do to help is absolutely my pleasure. This is Jeffrey Dreisbach. You've been listening to Casting Actors Cast.
Thank you for joining Casting Actors Cast. I'm Megan Grace Martinez.